So this is the current state of Baba Sports Stadium. The NSC boss Nabaha. You know, Babahe. Babaing special. The current state of the pitch. Yeah. Na 28th Democracy Cup between Kotoko and Has and so Basson, you know. Maybe sound 7 years, I say. I'm beating a usual.
But I mean, this is yes,
for the purposes of international media, so because I'm saying Baba Yara is in the news, and that will be say AFCON qualifier. I have not seen any letter from CAF or the GFA, but it's a nice positive story if we can get the venue ready. So I'm here to just clarify one or two things, and also to support our regional director and her team. They've done a great job over the months. It's not been easy. As you know, when I was appointed, one of the things that I wanted to do was to go around all our facilities, just so that I know at close quarters the realities on the ground. And so far, it's been, I would say, slight improvement. It's not easy because it's almost as if every region is trying to quench fires. You know, when they quench the fire, then they'll try and reduce a flood here or something. But all in all, I'm very happy with the work that has been done here. I think the contractor has been on site. I believe he's still on site. And the major works have been done. So the director obviously will give finer details. She's briefed me, management. The board chairman will also join us, Professor Fred Awa. He's very interested in what's happening here. And then we can have the conversations about possibilities, if indeed Baba Yara will be in the picture for hosting any of our AFCON qualifiers. That will be a decision taken by the stakeholders, the GFA, Ministry of Sports and Recreation, National Sports Authority. We are the ones who look after the facility, so they would rely heavily on us to tell them the state of affairs, not just looking, but deep down. The head of estates is an engineer, so you have to listen to the experts when they tell you what works and what does not work. But I think, as you can see behind me, the grass is beginning to respond to treatment, and the rehabilitation is on course. And I believe in a few weeks' time, it should be in good stead, strong enough, robust, to host football matches here, including the Ghana Premier League and any other international match if the need arises. African Under-20 AFCON, which is now very big. I mean, it's always been a strong tournament. It's even getting more traction because of the young African players that are going straight to Real Madrid, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, and the rest. Very young players are going direct, which was not the case in the past. So yeah, the whole of Africa and the world would want to be at the next AFCON. I know CAF have notified the Ghana Football Association with regards to the hosting. What happens next are processes, and the NSA's job is to give communication as to the readiness or otherwise of our facilities, and we leave that to the higher authorities. As long as we give them the right information, it will be used to take the right decisions. And you asked, are we ready? What's today's date? The 12th of August. And we can't play the AFCON, in any of our venues tomorrow if we had to, but we can prepare if we put things in place. Obviously, it's all about funding, and also it's about improving the structures that CAF would want you to have in place. And CAF is very particular now, as you know. They're very strict with their guidelines, and you need to tick all the boxes to ensure that you qualify. So hopefully we'll be able to do that, but that will be based on collective work from all the stakeholders, especially through the GFA, who communicate directly with the Confederation of African Football.
So if I understand you very well, it means as it stands now, we can host it unless work has been done on the pitches.
Oh yes, we can't. I mean, football, look at the optics. If, as a Ghanaian, if you give me a go-ahead to even host it, I wouldn't want to embarrass the country or the people of Ghana or Ghana football. We have to insist that this is Ghana. We're putting Ghana, at the highest, the world will be watching. So let's put our A game. And at this moment, we're in transition to trying to improve our venues, including the grass. So we need time to prepare for that. And once the final green light comes from CAF, the roadmap would be put in place, and hopefully we'll be able to beat certain deadlines to host the tournament.
But today is 12. We have a few weeks, probably like less than 2 weeks to the kickoff of the JPL. Luckily for Kumasi, Yara, Kotoko will be traveling their first week game to Winchi, but the next week they'll be playing here. Is there any assurance, a pinpoint assurance, that indeed the stadium will be fully ready for the kickoff of the JPL?
It's the first question that I asked the regional director, and she has assured me that it will be ready. I think we're looking at 4 weeks from now. We've seen the work that has been done, and work continues to be done. The sprinklers are now working in unison. I think the problem in the past was some were not working, they were not functioning, so they've all been done now. So water, which is a critical factor in making sure the grass, breathes, grows, and stays sturdy, will not be a challenge. We need to commend, the Ashanti Regional Directorate here at Yara, because in the past, when the sprinklers were not working, they had to resort to, fire service and other means to make sure that the grass doesn't totally die. And one thing happens, when the grass goes completely, you have a big problem. And I recall some video footage a while ago which went viral of them working hard to ensure that they tackle the weeds from its source. It's because we don't have the tools that are common in Europe, America, and other parts. We will acquire those tools so that in future those scenes will be a thing of the past. But I still would say that I commend them for taking the initiative. The choice, it was a very simple choice. Fold your arms and do nothing and say, well, we don't have the tools, we can't tackle the weeds, or we have our hands. And for me, that is, when we talk about thinking outside the box, it's not always technology. It's using what you have to improve, and I think they've done a great job. Perhaps some people didn't understand the images, and so it became, a talking point. I'm sure now they do understand that once you have, a infestation of weeds, you need to tackle it, and there are tools, equipment that you even have drones now, Ebo, right? You have drones and high-tech equipment that NSA would have to procure and ensure that we are abreast with international standards when it comes to the maintenance of our pitches and our facilities. So yeah, I'm positive that her assurance means that we will be ready when the league kicks off.
You've been here in the past.
Yeah, clearly some of the components that were not functioning fully, as I just mentioned, like the sprinklers, on and off, the scoreboard, for example, which you can see in the background. The floodlights have been stabilized. These are things that the CAF inspectors will look at again. So it's always important to keep on constantly upgrading so you're not taken by a surprise, but you need funding. So the challenge is that there must be constant funding to be proactive and not to wait for problems to arise and then we're panicking. And that's where the maintenance units under the head of estates has been formed, and they're trying as much as possible to be proactive and to attack problems before the problems arise. So yeah, apart from that, I can see a lot of proactiveness. There are reports that come on a regular basis to alert us on challenges and difficulties, and working with other stakeholders and partners to ensure that we bring the stadium up to scratch. Ideally, if funds were available, most of the seats would have to be changed, other optics. I know the substitute bench has been ordered, and it's on the sheets as well, and it's on its way. And there are other changes at the dressing room. Right. If you remember the dugouts that used to be here. Right. So these are improvements. They are steady, and we must continue, not just here, but across our facilities in Ghana.
When you say funding, what exactly are we looking at then? How do we ensure that there is constant funding of the NSA to ensure issues like this will be left in the back?
The funding issue is a very, thorny one. You need to understand that the state apportions its funds based on the resources available, and also there are priorities. So for us, we can only, I would say make noise, we can only alert, high authorities to the need to apportion more. Often you have a budget that is raised and you don't get half of it. So what that means is that what you plan to do, you cannot execute. There's no way. And people talk of IGF, which is good, but if you look at the stadiums that we have, the key stadiums, IGF, the peak is seasonal, normally around the festive season, Christmas, and occasions and events. And that the kind of investment you're looking at. Give you a rough example: the Ivory Coast, of course, they invested hundreds of millions of US dollars to host the AFCON, not just as a one-off, so that they can also do other tournaments, intercontinental, something that would keep them on the map for decades or for years. So that sort of commitment is what His Excellency the President is looking at doing. But you also need to cut your coat according to your size, and we look at that, and facilities will be brought up, and others, new ones, will also have to be built. But it's all about the funding that is required to ensure that we can do that.
We are made aware that the NSA will have a meeting of the schools and sports and some schools research.
Ghana Education Service.
We had a minister meeting with them and the ministers, the chief of staff
Of the Ghana Education. I mean, first of all, we need to condemn any acts of vandalism, hooliganism. It's not right, regardless of the fact that they're being carried out by students, or the youth. It's unacceptable. But when it happens, there are routes to use to address them. With regards to compensation or the payments to, pay for the damaged structures, the GES, the regional director, they've had a series of meetings, and I'm happy to report that they've agreed to compensate the NSA, and I'm sure once the funds are mobilized, they will do the needful. So that's positive. Yeah, your frustrations are my frustrations. I know this facility was upgraded in 2007 originally for the AFCON. And how many years ago? How old were you then?
19 years old.
Right.
By next year will be 20 years.
Yes, it will be 20 years. And at the time, the facility was okay. It was up to a certain level. But you and I have seen in recent tournaments, stadia are not built like this anymore. But this is what we have. This is what we have. So as we hope and prepare for better, we need to make sure that we do and take advantage of what we have until such a time. If you want to buy a new car, next level, you don't throw away your existing car until you get your car. Otherwise, you'll be walking, you know. So it's the same way. We need to maintain, manage, and do what we can with this facility until such a time we're ready to go to the next level. Like I said, it's a process. It's about priorities. It's about, you know, what's needed now as to what's needed in the next 5 or 10 years. But I'm sure it will happen. And I'm confident that we will move up a notch the scale when facilities are concerned, sporting facilities are concerned.
The major influence for you to start?
It's a very good question, and I think I'm happy with the agenda that the media across board are setting. I've listened to a few conversations on air, and I can see the direction. I think it's a good conversation to have. Other countries do it. I think we've seen a few other countries, Cape Verde, we hear what they're doing with theirs. I think DR Congo recently released their plan, how to, you know, use their funds. And I'm sure the GFA would do similar in due course. Conversations are ongoing, so let's be patient and let's be optimistic that we'll hear something very positive. For the NSA, you know, any good money that comes, yes, we'll take it to make sure that we do the right work. So we're hoping that there will be good news, and hopefully that will be soon.
Apart from Kotoko, I mean, the people in Kumasi would love to see their Blasters playing here for international matches. You've been here, you've seen the progressness. Should the inspectors from CAF come here tomorrow, do you think the stadium will still meet the qualification and get a clearance to host FIFA accredited games?
Tomorrow?
If they should come tomorrow, based on the work done.
So what they normally do, what CAF does, and
assuming if they should come.
Yeah, the GFA would guide us in that regard with the communication. What they will tell us is that NSA, you need to do A, B, C, D, 10, 20, 15. You need to do that, and then we say, okay, we've got 3, 1, 2, 3. The rest, we need X, Y, Z, and then we go to the ministry, and then the ministry to finance, and then it's a process. So if indeed we want to host AFCON qualifiers, the under-20 AFCON, yes, there are boxes that have to be ticked. CAF would write to the FA, and the FA would communicate accordingly. And there are conversations going on. So in due course, we would hear exactly where we stand, and to ensure that we have a good chance. Sometimes CAF would tell you, we'll give you a month, we'll give you 2 months, 3 months to get ready. So let's wait on CAF and the GFA to communicate that to us, and then we'll take.
I'm sorry, the stadium was, I mean, there was a chance, should CAF come tomorrow to inspect, that this stadium can host FIFA games?
It's fluid, it's flexible. So the new standards is what we're chasing to arrive at and to be abreast with. So we're doing all our best. And one of the reasons you're here is to see some of the work that have been done that was not here some months ago. You've seen it, and some of the challenges. Clearly, it's an improvement from 6 months ago or 1 year ago, and it's very important. But what people should understand is that it's constant. It is not you do it and then you go and sleep. It is constant. You need to keep on doing it, and that is one thing that we need to understand, that it is not an event or, you know, an overnight thing. It has to be constant, and I think so far the Ashanti Regional Directorate, you know, they're doing a great job. Yeah. World Cup in the US, you know, the World Cup we just witnessed in the US was the best World Cup, the biggest World Cup, and the most challenging. We've not had a World Cup where 3 countries, you know, Canada, USA, Mexico, and it was necessary for the NSA to be very proactive. And thankfully, the regional directors, including Ashanti, my head of estates, Central, Western, they have a combined experience of about 100 years between them. I think 19 years?
Yeah, 21.
21. You know, about 18, 19. The rest 18, 19. So for someone like me, I need to tap into their experience, institutional memory, and going to the World Cup to watch matches and come back, write a report will not be complete without our directors, because they are the ones running the NSA. We supervise, but they are on the ground with our coaches, with the maintenance, everything. So taking them to the US, I think, is one of the best investments that we could make. And we should do more. I wish all the regional directors across the regions would get an opportunity. And we've made the request to the ministry to consider. So tournaments, competitions, we need to let our, not just directors, but other, departmental heads go out there to learn and to bring back, so that when we do want to host tournaments, they have that experience, not just home experience, but outside. So yeah, I agree. I think we need to invest in our human resources, and building capacity is very, very important. And I hope it will continue, not just the World Cup, but other tournaments and competitions in Africa and beyond. And in terms of CAF rules and regulations, are very clear. The commercialization, and so commercialization, beautification. You can't commercialization and beautification, and not just a CAF. Almost a stakeholder. You will Kumasi, Yara, it belongs to Ghana, but at the international level, CAF beats me, but no maka say Mamunfa adverts and boho, Mamunfa way, because a CAF tournament and organized, we are under CAF and FIFA, right? Into I say, and so the ABN, we have to be sure, say, we are doing the right thing. Now, your friend is saying, you follow the rules and regulations. Your KMA boss, regional minister, and other stakeholders, a meeting to clarify certain things. And we will be in line with the rules, the regulations, guiding facilities and structures that are brought up. They are now at the right time. Regional director, they will make it public. They will announce to you exactly what is involved. There will be no secret. Very soon. Yeah, I'm a say yene stakeholders, including the KMA, the mayor of Kumasi, and regional minister, and other stakeholders, those who are in the business of commercializing, the business. We need to bring them on board. Then you should be you hear about it.
As it stands now, there's nothing wrong with it.
As it stands now, we are having a conversation on the current changes that CAF wants its member associations to follow, guidelines. It's upgrades, updates. Through the GFA, and so guidelines. We need to let KMA know. Then we all sit at the table and agree, say, this can be done, this cannot be done. Let's find a way forward, solutions. Oh, it's been a year and 4 or 5 months, and it's been tough. This is the toughest job I've ever had, but it's not, only my headache. I've got my regional directors to carry some of the burden. We've got very good staff across. I think for me to do self-assessment, I would always say that we can do better, I can do better. That's what I'll tell you. Beyond that, you need to also look around and do some research. A year and a half ago, what was it like? We've had a World Cup since, we've had tournaments. Yeah, I think I would not tell you that I've been, 8 out of 10 or 5 out of 10. No, I wouldn't do that. But I would say constantly that we can do better. There's always room for improvement, and I need the support of everybody, including the media. Your criticisms, which are constructive, always help. The non-constructive ones, well, that one is another issue. But the constructive ones, I listen, and we're quick to, admit that we could do better. But when we have the full resources, the full funding, then we don't have any excuses at all. So let's keep working together and make sure that the NSA gets what it's supposed to have to execute what it's supposed to.
Aside money, what has been your biggest challenge in maintaining our stages for us?
I think the sheer scale of the work and the fact that we need more qualified staff in terms of the capacity building, and we are short. NSA is short of staff. I think up to 500 staff. That's quite a big number across the regions. So if we're able to get more staff to support in the estate department, the marketing department, maintenance, technical, especially technical, our coaches, monitoring and evaluation, I think we will be moving rapidly into a different, space. But I believe with time, we will get all these accordingly.